everyone, and welcome to Pod TV's #1 do-it-yourself advocate show, Timeshare Solution or Surrender. Today is March 16th, 2026, and we are at episode 97. What an accomplishment. But that's not the major accomplishment. The major accomplishment that we are celebrating is that we have finally been able to get senators to sponsor a Transparency Act bill for timeshare purchases, which is very important and will help prevent many of the deceptive acts that have occurred that Irene's nonprofit do-it-yourself advocate program has guided people through. Now, the first 30 minutes of the show will be the stories of the real people with Irene discussing their problems and solutions. And then after that, there is a library of resources that you can watch that is just wonderful. Anyway, everyone help me welcome Irene Parker, who has headed up this long battle of trying to help people. Not everyone is a victim, but you listen to every story and you help them, and that's what this is all about.
We're closing in on 100 episodes. I wish I could take credit, or Tarda could take credit for that bill, but apparently Senator Curtis, there was someone that opened his eyes that there were some real problems and needed regulations. So we have two returning guests today. I'm so happy to have back again. We have Sergeant Dave, 29 years with the Orange County, California Police Department, who is retired in Tennessee. And we have Cheryl. Cheryl is a retired executive with an MBA like me, and she is here today. Now, both are, what we try to do is, and let me go, I'm always afraid that I am going to forget this, and it's so important to show our resource library. So because of the volume of people reaching out, an hour was a long time, not just to be on the show, but juggling 3 to 5 guests every week. So we have the last 35 minutes pre-recorded, led by Brian Rogers of Tug, and closing with Sheila and Chad, both with Club Exploria, in the same boat as Dave and Cheryl with Club Exploria, not allowing a release for any reason. So in 2019, I co-founded TARDA. It was the year I attended a legislative workshop. There is ARDA and there's ARDA Rock. And ARDA Rock stands for Resort Owner Coalition. The chairman is Kenneth McKelvey, who is also a consulting executive with Capital Resorts. And I heard him testify, I've been in this business 30 years. Every resort has a dissolution policy. I knew that was in no way accurate, and we have the proof today. So one thing we want to do is we want to tie our show in with the 5 provisions of the bill. And if you go to TARDA's blog, the first posting is the March newsletter that talks about how to reach out to your senator to support the bill, and also, if you have the time and able to do so, ask them to co-sponsor the bill. We're hoping to get a co-sponsor. Kim and I and Sheila are headed to Washington, D.C., along with a Marriott buyer whose husband sadly took his own life and left behind words about his timeshare. But the provision we're talking about today is provide clear, documented options to exit purchase. Before we hear from Dave first, I just want to talk a little bit about legislative hypocrisy, because number one, that same year, 2019, ARDA Rock's website that is for the consumer posted, we are lobbying in 14 states, 4 core issues: non-judicial foreclosure, strong protection for the consumer. It slipped out in the minutes for the ARDA industry meeting. The answer is judicial foreclosure, enforce the contract, ruin their credit. And they've carried that forward with a partnership with Blackwell Recovery. There's a website called the ARDA Resort Buyers Marketplace. It sounds pretty warm and fuzzy. And they awarded the collection agency companies, debt servicing, Concord, their ACE Innovation Award. So, it's just, mind-boggling what's going on here. So Dave, if you could, you were on the show last time. Tell us a little bit about your grandkids and the reason why you sought exit from both Diamond Resorts and Welk and what happened.
Sure, I'll give you the short version on the kids. We retired from law enforcement and moved to Central Oregon. And about 10 years ago, our retirement, our empty nest syndrome changed dramatically. We have 2 adult daughters, and sadly, one just decided to do drugs and alcohol was the culprit. She drank heavily with 2 children, two babies, and we ended up, the state of Oregon removed the children from her. We stood up and immediately went into the adoption process. It was about a year process. Took full custody, raising them with their special needs on the fetal alcohol spectrum. That was going great. Thought we'd stay in Central Oregon forever. And then suddenly, I think it was post-COVID part of it, but we suddenly had some severe needs in the area of public school special needs programming. And so we suddenly had to move. And we kind of started out by looking for the most God-fearing, patriotic state in the union. We laugh about that because we didn't have a clue where we were going. But we ended up in Tennessee. And it was just kind of a God thing. All the needs we have for our special needs programming fell into place here, plus a lot of other things. So now that we've been here 4 years, some time ago, we realized immediately as far as our timeshare usage, and this problem had been starting in Oregon already. And that was basically, and we're good at it. We've been doing it for 30 years. We know how to roll points and get accommodations and stay on the waiting list. We had good trading power with our units. We had 2 timeshares. But all of a sudden, it was getting very difficult to get prime locations. So when we moved to Tennessee, well, suddenly now, instead of in my normal retirement mode, we're on a children's schedule. We can only go on vacations when the kids are out of school, which I found out in Middle Tennessee, that means the entire Eastern Seaboard, students, administration, and staff, and they're all going to the same place. So we weren't getting anything. Places we normally would get, we'd be on a waiting list for a year, and it wasn't happening.
Let me interrupt. It's so hard to get used to the 25 minutes. Let's go ahead and jump ahead to, and first I want to also have you address the chairman and president of ARDA is Jason Gamble, who just was quoted on their timeshare consumer protection website, whatever they call it. Contrary to what exit companies tell you, it doesn't have to be difficult, expensive, or time consuming to be released from a contract.
Yeah, right. Thanks for moving me on. I was just on to move on myself there. And by the way, before I forget, I have my personal letter from Senator Marsha Blackburn here, dated March 13th, responding to my letter for the Transparency Act. It's a good letter. So she sounds like she's up on it. Well, what happened was we started going after exit policies, and we'll just deal with what is now owned by Marriott, the Hyatt Vacation Club, formerly Welk, and our home resort was Cabo San Lucas. We went through that process, and this is after going through your process with a complaint to the Attorney General's office. Got some letters from Welk, but basically they're all pointing to the one thing we all know now is in our fine print, in perpetuity. So regardless of your problems in life, no matter what the situation is, and this is what people are getting trapped in, you got to pay maintenance fees forever. So we're going, no, I don't think so. So we went through the process with them. The original deal was you will pay $1,000 when the process is complete. When the title company's finished, we're ready to deed in lieu of foreclosure. What came up towards the end of that process was they said, we want 2 years of maintenance fees. I said, no, you said 1 year of maintenance fees, because I've been playing with them for a while. They shut it down. They opened it up. And so I said, well, the problem is I've already contacted your title company. They have all the paperwork, and I've asked them what the process would be, and they were going to be done in 3 days. It was like 3 months before the next year's dues would come up. And I said, that's not acceptable to us. And they said, okay. And they dropped us. They said, you're not qualified to do it. They wanted the 2 years instead of 1, plus the 1,000. So I decided to do what I'm calling a strategic default. We just stopped paying maintenance fees. We ignored, and they immediately sent it to collections. We ignored all calls. We did not play ball with anybody. Really wasn't that bad in terms of amount. I did some things people have done. I changed the phone numbers on my profile. I didn't mess with my email or address. But we got minimal calls, a handful of letters, and then they stopped. And I got 100-point reduction. We had a near perfect credit score.
Let me stop you there, because the worst I have ever heard on maintenance fees is 50 or 60 points. So go ahead and tell us how you were able to, maybe your police training came in or something.
Well, I did do some digging. I was kind of shocked too. I thought, I mean, we don't have loans out. It was something we could absorb, and I knew it was a 7-year process, but I'm still going, you got to be kidding me. So it was Experian. So I just called them, waited for quite a while, got a nice lady, kind of befriended her, told her my situation. And I said, I'm just curious, how does it get determined on, in this case, not a mortgage, maintenance fees only? Why such a large drop? And she goes, I have no idea. And I said, well, who makes the decision on knocking the points down? She said, I don't know. And it was like Wizard of Oz, who's behind the curtain? And I said, so, well, what could someone do about this? And she says, well, you can appeal it on the website. I go, okay. So I went to the appeal section, and you open it up, and you're allowed to write about 2 sentences. So you write your 2 sentences, and that triggers them contacting the debtor, and they, contact the collection agency, and they say, this is legitimate. This is not paying maintenance fees. And they respond with sustained, and they leave it alone. So then I looked at the website again. I dug a little deeper. If you don't look for it, you can't see it. There's a second appeal available to you. I opened it up, and the whole world opened up to me. You can write as much as you want. So I thought, keep it concise, get to the point, explain maintenance fees only. The product is bad. There's not the ability to do the trades, just the whole thing. The games they play, just real simple. Never heard from them. Within 3 to 4 weeks, I noticed something strange happening. My 100 points started going the other direction with my credit score. Now it's still there, and it'd still be there on the mark for 7 years, but my score started going up. So somehow that second appeal got to the person behind the curtain, and they liked what they saw, and they performed. They started reversing my credit score. I didn't do anything else.
How much of the 100 points did it go back up?
All of it.
All of it. Yes. Okay. With that, let's jump over to Cheryl, because I've kept her second because she's more complicated, because she, having sold blue-green timeshares and love the industry, of course, no reason to, if you can get 7 timeshares for free, why not take them? So you're down to 4 now, Cheryl, correct? Okay. You've got to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
I got it. Nope.
Okay.
She's going to have to do it. I don't have control.
All right.
So you need to unmute.
Unmute. Okay.
Unmute.
Let's take her off the screen. So, and then let's put her back on. Maybe she'll see you're muted.
You're muted. We can't hear you. Unmute. And I don't know how she became muted unless she did it.
Let me,
let's see.
Okay.
No, it's not letting me edit her mic. Usually I can unmute them as the controller here.
Okay. Well, let's
try to hit unmute.
Let's put Dave back on, Kim, and Dave, you can continue a little bit with, let's talk a little bit about Diamond Resorts.
So Cheryl, try to unmute. We're going to continue on. So yeah, tell us a little bit more too about because a lot of people get stuck with the bad credit score, and you were able to find that second appeal process. I'm wondering if there's a third, but the second one was bigger, more elaborate, and you noticed a downturn. Now you keep saying that for 7 years you're going to have bad credit because of the default, and I will tell you this: it won't last 7 years. Okay, you may think it's going to last all those years, but it really doesn't, because you've always maintained good credit, but that comes back in your favor. But
She is. Cheryl, can we hear Cheryl
Yeah, that's
now?
good to know. I wasn't worried about it either way, because most people I've talked to, even with the ding and the credit, depending on the lender you're working with, when you explain what it's about, they usually look the other way on it anyway. The fact that it's listed on the credit score, it doesn't really matter to me, because they've done what I wanted to do. They reversed my credit score.
I had to explain to when I was trying to refi, and I had to explain that it was timeshare, and immediately the guy goes, "Oh yeah, we get it, no
And we
problem."
have
when
Cheryl
you have a near
back, and
perfect
she's
score and they see your
unmuted.
score going up with payments completed and all
Yeah.
that.
So they overlook that. Hi Cheryl, you got your okay. Let's get your voice going. Let's go.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
you were
We
muted.
got you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So, yeah, how did you release? Let's start with releasing. We've got about 9 minutes left. Let's start with how you
Now
were
Irene's
released.
muted.
Now I'm muted.
No,
you're
I can
fine.
hear you. I can
Go
hear you.
ahead. Go-
Okay,
ahead.
so
did you-
how were you able to be released from 3 of the timeshares?
Well, the first two, I used a hardship letter, and they released me on those, no cost, very easy. And then it was the other one, Endless Mountain. They didn't release me till I sent the doctor's letter saying it is highly recommended that I do not fly and I do not drive long distances, because there's potentially more harmful damage to my back. So Endless Mountain let me out on that. The other three have ignored me, and the only one that's been, which I've got to send the doctor's letters to the other three, which I'm a little bit lazy. I'm retired. I have a house. I have a car. I don't plan on buying another house, buying another car, so if my credit got dinged a bit, I don't know. I got to try to fix it though, but I'm going to send the medical letter to the other three. And the only one that's been really, really difficult is it's called Beach Club 3, and it's in North Carolina. And they didn't even send me to collect. I wrote them. I talked to the board of directors. I talked to the manager, and they say, if you give us 2 months worth of maintenance fees, which was about $2,400, we'll let you out.
2 years.
Yeah, yeah,
You said 2 months. Okay. And
2 years. And I said
Yeah.
no. And then
that was a
it never
place
went to, it never went to collections. I never got a phone call, never got a letter. They just zapped my credit.
Okay, and that was a place at the beach, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there's no listings on Red Week listed. And the one that is impossible, I know from just many, many people, is Great Eastern, your Endless Mountain.
Yeah.
That one, there's 3 listings for $1. And then the cliffs at Peach Canyon, what's
If
going
anyone
on
can
with
hear,
that one?
if anyone can hear me, Irene's muted on my side.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. We hear her just fine.
It's okay. She's not talking to me. Just so you know, she
Right.
can't talk
So,
to me.
right. Okay.
That happened
I hear
last
you.
week too.
Yeah, I did. I don't know what the problem is. We'll figure it
Okay.
out.
Okay, so go ahead, Cheryl. What happened with the cliffs at Peach Canyon?
I just sent a hardship letter to the board of directors. And they just sent me the deed and said, sign it and get it notarized and send it back to us and we'll remove you. That was it.
How did you end up with the 7? Let's go back with that.
Well, like I said, I was retired and I've been in the timeshare business since 1980. My dad bought one in 1980 and I used to use his weeks and travel around the world. And then I went to Hawaii in 94 and I never went to a sales presentation. I just walked in the office and said, I want to buy a timeshare here. So I had that for about almost 20 years. But then in '07, I lost my big paying job. And that's when the economy was tanking in '08. And I had to let the courts take the timeshare in Hawaii because it was still worth money. So that's how I got out of that. So I wasn't in timeshares for years, but I've still been with RCI, and I have about 6 weeks vacation piled up in RCI. So the one that I really have to try to fight is the cliffs. I mean, not the cliffs. I keep saying the cliffs. The beach club, you know, because they're the ones that are being the most difficult. And I'm surprised they didn't send me to collections first. They usually do that.
So you're down to 4.
Yep.
Yeah. And I forgot what type of work you did before. You had a pretty high level position, correct?
I had 2 high level positions. I was a vice president in banking in Boston. And then when I moved to Florida, I worked for the chief of Seminole Indians, doing business developing and opening stores and things for him.
That is fascinating. And
Very.
then what were the years that you worked for Blue Green?
It was after the Indian job ended because it was brutal to find jobs, in '08 to like 12. I worked for Blue Greens, I'd say around 2012, 2013. And I only did it for about 4 months. I did very well because my sales pitch was just, I've owned a timeshare for 20 years and loved it. I didn't con anybody. I was just honest. And I did very well. You make high commissions on timeshares. But then there was just things that they did I thought that were unethical. And I just said, I can't be involved in anything unethical. So I
Good
quit.
for you. Good for you. Well, Kim, we're starting to roll down here. It's so good to have people. One of you, this is episode 97. One of you I noticed were previously with us on 79. So it's great to hear somebody that's living
I
through this
want to give her
process.
that don't, send your fight to the state attorney general in North Carolina if this organization is in fact a North Carolina organization. The
Yeah.
state attorney general here in North Carolina has been fighting timeshares mostly for breaking a different law that I think
Yeah.
is a stupid law to begin with. But to take it, I forget who our state attorney general is now. Josh Stein had been, and now he's our governor, so we have a new one.
Yeah.
But take your fight to him and see what he will do. I know that Roy Cooper, when he was state attorney general, stuff like this would have never happened, including the bad credit
Yeah.
dings.
Yeah.
That's one thing I loved about Roy when he was our state attorney general. When he became our governor, I didn't like him too well, but I think that your fight might get a little bit help if you
Okay.
try. I would try. I mean,
Thank you.
And also your senator in South Carolina, will look them up and reach out to them. So Kim, it looks like we're about out of time here, and we always expect the unexpected. So thank you to both of our guests for being on the show today. It's really supportive to many people.
My
yes, thank
pleasure.
you very much. We hope that you join us again, and thank you to the viewers for watching. We will see you same time on most Mondays, not next week because we're going to be in
Right.
DC, but we might play some live from that. But Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, please join us. If you have an issue, don't sit there and fret over it. Contact TARTA.org, where they have helped so many people find resolutions that are legal. And I'm not going to say without work, but you will find some solutions. Watch our after shows of the library that we have for resources. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Take care, stay healthy so you stay wealthy.
Thank you for having us.